If you had to guess, do you think the first computer programmer was a man or a woman? I bet you'd say a man, but you're wrong. The first computer programmer was Ada Lovelace. Ada was born in 1815. She wrote notes for Charles Babbage's analytic engine, a mechanical general-purpose computer. This engine was considered the first computer, and Ada's notes were considered the software to run it. Most people have this idea of what they expect particular professions to look like, what kind of person they would look like, their gender, ethnicity. But what if we're all preventing the world to change in this regard? Social stratification, the state of being divided into social classes, refers to a system by which a society ranks categories of people in a hierarchy. If you're told that people who own a Tesla or Lamborghini vehicle are considered more valuable, and you then begin to treat people differently depending on what kind of car they drive, you're allowing the bias of social stratification to shape how you treat others. We do the same thing when we hire people in the workplace. We promote subconscious bias towards and against certain individuals. What statistics show is that women and minorities are at a disadvantage when it comes to the hiring process.
Countless technology companies are still predominantly not hiring women and minorities. In order to make a difference in the technology sector, it is necessary to raise awareness of the problem. As social pressures mount on the issue of hiring a diverse workforce, technology companies will be forced to adapt to public opinion. There are innumerable factors as to why tech companies haven't already adapted to these changes, but the most prevalent has been recent hiring practices. A culture fit is considered someone who has a personality that doesn't clash with the current employees, thinks along the same lines as the current employees, and doesn't require the company to change much. Tech startups hire individuals depending on how well they are a culture fit. When a company maintains a culture fit to provide a consistent personality type in their employees, they are promoting subconscious bias. Additionally, a company that isn't willing to change their concept of a culture fit loses their wager to gain an employee who could bring a new type of energy and motivation to the company. The United States has a moral obligation to protect the rights of all of its citizens, no matter their gender, ethnicity, creed, or other defining and distinct characteristics. The Bill of Rights protects citizens' rights and has been amended to reflect the ever-changing public opinion. The amendments have served to add disenfranchised groups that were not covered in the original Constitution and Bill of Rights. The morally right thing to do is to allow everyone the right to equal employment by preserving ethical practices in the workplace. Corporate pluralism is a method in which structural and cultural differences are protected by the state and where power is allocated on the basis of an ethnic formula with benefits. Employee hiring is distributed in proportion to the population. For example, if a population's makeup is of 40% minorities, then 40% of the employees that service that population must be made up of minorities. That ensures the accurate representation of people for their own minority group. Technology employers currently provide sexual harassment training for the upper management of their companies. Companies need to implement programs that instruct their human resources employees in what ways it can guard against subconscious bias. These programs should be mandated by federal law, and then each company should have the discretion to decide in which manner they implement them. Without advocacy for minority representation, the problem of underrepresentation will continue. Dominant groups will take advantage of minority groups. Equal hiring practices need to be safeguarded for all people of the population. The next time you make a gut feeling, consider the possibility of subconscious bias in your decision.